Good evening. Welcome to this week's episode of the Author Collaborative. As always, I will be talking to an author whose book I have read and loved, and today's guest is a blogger and an author. I have read her poetry book and I really enjoyed it. We are going to be talking to her soon. Please stay connected. In this week's author collaborative, we'll be talking to an author whose poetry book I have read and enjoyed, and she has read Love and Melodrama. We'll be both be discussing how we went about writing these books, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So do stay connected. She is here. I'm going to just add her to the live so we can begin. Invite a few more people. Hello, Neerja. Can you see me?
Yes, Madani. Hi, how are you?
Perfect. Hi. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
So glad to finally have you on the Auto Collaborative. We have been talking about this for a while. So I'm really
Yes,
happy we could finally do this.
yes, even me too.
Yes. So before we begin the live, I would like you to introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us about yourself and the book that we are going to talk about. Let's talk about that. Tell us about that.
Okay. I was a blogger for a long time, but thanks to people like you, I mean, through Blog Chatter, I met many bloggers and I saw them moving on to being an author. So that just, motivated me to be writing a book. Or since I was into writing, the transition was very smooth, I would say. And definitely, I give all the credit to Blog Chatter community, and you're one of them. So
Yes, Blog Chatter has been,
remember we
yeah.
were, both were awarded, I mean, blog of the
Yes,
month kind of thing
together.
when we first
Yes,
met.
yes. In
At
September
that time,
2021, 21, I think,
yeah,
September 2021.
yeah, it was long back, I think. And there I came to know that you have already written few books. I think by that time you were already an author. And that was really, I mean, there was a discussion that from being a blogger to being an author is not a very difficult, transition. And it just stuck into my mind. And when there was this month-long blogging event by Blog Chatter, and I saw people converting their post into a book. That is the first time when I joined the event. So I just joined like that, and in the second year, I planned it so that I can uh, collect the my post into a book. So that is how my first book came, and it was for senior citizens because I was looking around and observing people how the life changes when one you know hangs their shoes. And in India, we don't have so many opportunities.
Yes.
So I just thought how to handle this phase of life. Though I was not in that phase by that time, but since I have a an observant eye and a sensitive mind, I could sense the problems and the I mean uh, even the advantages of being into that phase. So I planned my 30 posts for that, 30 or 29, whatever the number of posts were, on this topic. And I finally, collected all those posts and published it as an ebook because that is the easiest way. And I was doing it just, I think to satisfy myself that now I can, write a book. And it was received well. As a Kindle book, it was received well. Though people are now asking me to convert it into Hindi and in a paper form. So let me see if I can do that. I think I will do that. And otherwise, other than this, being an author and a blogger, I am basically by education a physicist. I had been into education for a long, long time. I mean, I taught all grades. Started as a college lecturer and then a school person, and then even into content development also. I have
Okay, wow,
done that.
that's
And
wonderful.
now,
You know, that's
I, yeah,
quite a journey. Yeah, professionally.
quite a journey. It's quite a journey because I am one person who gets bored very easily with things. So I always look for changes. So that is why I have phases for from 3 to 5 years, then a big change, and 3 to 5 years, then a big change. So that this is
That's
how things
that's
have
really inspiring to
been.
know that one can dabble in various professions also. That's very inspiring to know.
Yes. So there is a reason for that because we have a support, financial support. That is why you can take risk. If you are the breadwinner of the family, it is very difficult. So this is the
Yes.
advantage of, uh, I would say, not that getting that much of responsibility in the family. But anyway, that is a different story. So let us do what we are doing.
Yes. So we are particularly talking about your poetry book, Whispered Melodies. And before we get into how it came about, I'm going to read out one poem from it so that readers can understand what we are going to be dealing with. So I particularly enjoyed this because the poems are so simple and so relatable. I mean, I could relate to most of it. It's very motivating to read. You are also giving out life lessons and advices in verse form, and that's really refreshing to read because most of these contemporary poets are always talking about relationships and love, and nobody hardly ever talks about life lessons or getting inspired by your life. So I really like that part. So this is what the book looks like for those of you who have joined us. I'm going to read out from Neerja's book. This is called Whispered Melodies, A Journey Through Verses, and I read it and I absolutely loved it. Now I'm going to read out the very first poem so you will get an idea of what you are getting into. It's titled Sea. Oh, the sea, the mighty sea, a wonderland of mystery, endless waves that ebb and flow, with secrets only it can know. The ocean's vast and endless deep, where creatures great and small do sleep, from whales that breach the surface high to tiny plankton passing by. The sea is both serene and fierce, it's the power we can't always pierce. From calm blue waters to storms so wild, it's nature's force that's undefiled. The salty air that fills our lungs, a rhythm of the tides that hums, the sunset painted in the sky, the beauty that we can't deny. Oh, the sea, the mighty sea, a treasure trove of history. From pirates' tales to ancient lore, it leaves us wanting more and more. So let's embrace the ocean's might and all the wonders in its sight.
Thank you so much, Manal. You read it so well.
Thank
Actually, I can give you the credit for this book because you were writing your own poems and putting it on social media. Remember that before you
you.
you finalize this new book of yours. I am a non-fiction person, non-fiction writer. Basically, the books which I have written are non-fiction, two of them, and I was just going through your poems and I was loving it, and then I was going through a personal traumatic time. My father was very serious and I know the end is very near, so that was the emotional turmoil time for me, and these poems, the writing gave me the escape from that tough time. So this is how this book came, and many times I think I have written even 2 poems a day, which is very difficult because I am not a person who can express myself with verses. So it just happened. I can't say how it happened, but it just happened. But when I read your poems, I think I thought that you know um, it is something which I can try hand. And I was never a language person. Being a science student, you can understand that a science person never has good language. As far as literary language, so my language is not very literary, but I think it is something which people can connect with. This is what I feel. Thank you so
Thank you. I'm
much for
so happy to hear this that I was one of the sources of motivation for you to write poetry and bring out this this book. I absolutely loved reading it. So I'm sure who those other people who have read it have also enjoyed it and got back to you telling that the poems are really good.
Thank
Based
you so
and
much.
based on my reading of the book, I have a few questions for you. And I have seen your journey. As you mentioned, we are both part of a blogging community which is very active, and we have a lot of other bloggers who are motivating each other always. And as you also mentioned, a lot of those bloggers have turned into authors. So my question to you is on those similar lines. How, since you have written 3 books now, I believe, right?
Three.
Yes. Three. So, as per your experience, how long does it take for one to, write and compile a book? And can you share a few tips that you have learned in your journey so far?
Sure. Actually, the time it takes to write and compile a non-fiction book, it can vary widely depending on the factors, like book's length. I mean, how many pages you would like. I mean, how many details you want to give, and complexity. How simple is the topic on which you are writing a book, and then you have to do lots of research for a non-fiction book, and then the last one and the most important one is author's writing pace, right? And since as a blogger, you don't have that pressure of finishing something in a given time. You have the
Right.
freedom. But when
Yes.
you're writing a book, you have to have a plan of writing. So
Right.
if you, I can give it in point-wise things. You need to have a clear goal, create an outline, establish a writing schedule, which I think is very important, and then research is very important, as I has mentioned. Uh,
Yes.
and then as a blogger, you just want to revisit your things and edit it, revisit your things and edit. This tendency has to be curbed because you first finish it and then at the end you edit it overall. And then since I am at home and I'm not working for somebody else, so I have to set my schedule. So this is also very important, whether you're working or not. When you're planning to write a book, you have to have a schedule and stick to it. And then once you finish it, I think it is very important to seek feedbacks from your
Hmm.
close group, because
Yes.
that helps you to have another's perspective. I think this is okay for the non-fiction one, but I'm not sure whether it is good for fiction, because fiction is a person's personal journey of imagination.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
can't comment if it is if it is a fiction book, but for non-fiction it is important, I guess.
Okay.
Uh, and then definitely the plan for publishing. This is also very important.
Yes. You can continue. I'm still here. I've just switched off the video for a while.
So as for the time it takes, it can vary widely. Some authors complete a non-fiction book in a few months. Some may take a year or more. I mean, it all depends. The key to
Okay.
find a pace which is comfortable and convenient to is okay. And
Okay.
remember, every writer's journey is unique. So what matters
Yes.
most is being committed to your project and seeing it through its
So
completion.
so well put. Yes, and I'm so glad that you mentioned that it depends from the writer to writer. It's not like if it worked for you, it will work for somebody else. Also, that's not necessary.
Not
So
necessary.
yeah, thank you so much for saying that. Which brings me to my next question. We are both in the blogging community. We are both blogger turned authors. So now I want to know, how was this transition for you? And to any blogger who's aspiring to become an author, what would you advise?
See, transition from a blogger to an author is an exciting journey, no doubt about that. And there are several, essential points to keep in mind, which can make your transition successful and easy. I mean, transition being successful is in your hands because it's your own commitment.
Right.
But few things which I think is important is that you should, I mean, find out your niche is very important everywhere as a blogger and as an author, right?
Correct.
And then
I
as you blog, your writing skills are little different, but since when you're blogging a lot, your skills improve. And as an author,
Yes.
it means different kind of thing, because then you have to think with the perspective of a reader and what you
Yes.
want to convey. So there are two things which I think needs to develop your writing skills. And then, as I said, I mean, few things are similar, that you need to have a writing routine, which is not there for a blogger. So it is needed because you have to post regularly, but then it can be weekly, it can be fortnightly, it can be monthly for a blog. But when you're planning a book, it has to be very regular on day-to-day basis, so that you get connected with, you don't lose connection with the what you have written earlier, right?
Right.
There has to be some every day. You don't, I mean, just don't forget what you have already mentioned. Then you editing will be too much.
Yes.
So when you are writing a book, it is good to have an outline for the book that gives, that helps actually.
Okay. Yeah,
And,
that's very important. Yeah.
and one more thing which is not important for blogging as much as it is important for book is editing and proofreading.
Hmm. Right.
Because writing is something which every blogger does, but when you're writing a book, publishing options, you have to know about that,
Hmm.
and then how to market. This is also important.
Yeah,
And for
that's another.
blog, you don't, blogging
Yeah.
is basically done because you love writing. At
Hmm.
least this is what I have started my blog with this thought only. So this is, I think, is are things which help in from being a blogger to being a writer.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and tips with us. Those were really good. I mean, in my experience also, I have observed that, and uh, each person's experience brings it something. So, thank you for sharing your tips with us.
My
Okay,
pleasure.
I am done with my questions, Neerja ji. Now it's the floor is yours. You have also read my
Okay.
book, Love and Melodrama, so I would love to
Yes,
know
yes,
your
and
thoughts.
why I love to get connected with younger people like you, because I just wanted to know their life, what they're thinking basically, what pressures they are having, and how they deal with the life. Because we are one generation behind, and every generation has its own positive points, their own pressures, their own enjoyments, and their own thought process. So I just wanted to get connected so that I know about them. And before I like your book because it is full of young environment, and it has a message which actually this is what I like the most. Let me read it. I mean, it's a love story, no doubt, all filmy drama. I'm not a very big film fan, and this is one thing which, I mean, you have a message also for the people, because a writer's responsibility is to towards society also. So if you give something which helps even a single person to move on with a positive thing in life, positive thought, that makes the success of every writing.
Thank you.
And this is your daily wave. The chapter is daily wave. Is the myth every day is Women's Day finally becoming a reality? It has been over 2 months since we celebrated International Women's Day, but attending the inaugural event of She Rose, I love this She Rose, I mean the concept which you
Thank
have
you.
put in, felt like the honoring and recognition of women was still ongoing. The purpose of this creative platform seems to be such anyway, and the Daily Wave team feels more empowered in bringing this story to you today. If the name of this platform made you wonder what is with the name and what is it all about, you are not alone in that boat, because we were right there with you till yesterday evening. Okay, I will leave few lines, then this is very interesting. She rose. For the everyday she rose. I mean, everyday she rose is something which really needed to be celebrated, because the people you see around are celebrities. They have become celebrities. But the women, the people who fight their everyday, uh, problems and win them, that is something to be celebrated. And
Exactly.
this coming from a young person like you, I find it really a mature thought process on your behalf. uh,
Thank you so
is
much.
a platform started with the purpose of training women of all ages and creative fields like writing, dancing, spoken word, poetry, and artwork. And this comes from a girl who has, faced so much tough life. I mean, in the book only,
In the story,
Gayatri. So I
yes.
just loved it. This part of
Thank
it.
you. I am so happy that my message was received so well by you. And I am just hoping that whoever reads the book, uh, the message gets sent across in the same manner, and that, it spreads around. Because that, as you mentioned, as writers, we are not only providing entertainment, it is also our duty to send out message, a social message which
Right.
can improve the everyday lives of the reader. So I am very happy that I have been able to do that and that my message reached across to you. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
And thank you
Definitely,
for
I think
reading out that particular part.
my pleasure. Okay, so get ready for the questions now, Manali.
Sure, sure. Yes.
Okay, let me see.
A lot of people have said hi to us, so I'm just going to reply to
Yeah,
them. It was Neelshri,
yeah.
then we have Mansi Desai, thank you. And we also had Tanvi, we had Janand. They all said hi to us before. I think they were not able to stay connected with us, but thank you everyone for joining us and saying hello.
Okay, so Mansi, here is my first question. Your book, Love and Melodrama. While I was going through and then I saw somewhere it is mellow and mellowed. I mean, the equation which you have made, it is really very interesting. Okay, it has a strong Bollywood, influence. How did your love for Hindi movies inspire your writing, and can share some of your favorite movie moments that influence your storytelling?
Okay, uh, particularly for this book, the character of Gayatri, which is my female lead in the story, she is somebody who is a movie buff and a complete drama queen. So, particularly in this book, I had to focus a lot on Bollywood because I had to justify her character and her actions. So, yes, there are a lot of Bollywood references in this particular book, which you won't necessarily find in my other stories. And if you're talking about my favorite moments from this particular story, I would have to say the DDLJ moments. Wherever they are, going to Maratha Mandir and watching that movie, I have not done it myself. So them doing it every year, that was kind of like, इतना भी पागलपन हो सकता है किसी मूवी के लिए. That was like, for me also, it was inspiring to write and think about. So those were my favorite moments. And writing those particular scenes and writing Gayatri's characters has, inspired me. And, it is at least motivated me to go and watch DDLJ in Maratha Mandir someday till it is running. I have to do it soon. I have not been able to do it, but yes, now she has added that particular wish to my bucket list that ये तो करना है मुझे.
Okay, all the best. I hope you do it very soon. Okay, so I have seen lots of songs in your new book. So Bollywood music plays a significant role in this new book of yours. How did you decide which songs to incorporate, and how do you think they enhance a reader's experience? Though it has, I mean, I would like to confess that it has really, enhanced my reading experience. But I wanted to know, how did you select, I mean, decided to add which songs and why?
Okay, so Gayatri, again, we are talking so much about Gayatri because she is the central character in the entire story. I know we are talking about Varun also a lot, and he is equally important. But love and melodrama, I have always maintained that it is first Gayatri's story and then it is Varun and Gayatri's story. So, my female lead, Gayatri Kulkarni, in this, she's a dancer and she's a choreographer and she loves to dance. So, I had to put music and a lot of Bollywood music into it because there are a lot of scenes where we are showing her dancing where she's picking out songs for her own choreography where she's teaching others how to dance. So I had to put songs there वरना मैं कैसे बताती कि वो काम क्या करती है, and how her journey was when she started and how far she went. I had to justify that also. So if you notice the songs in the beginning of the story and then during the later parts of the story, there is a growth phase in that also. Initially she was doing songs which were, you know, focusing on the celebrations. Later she is doing dance performances where she is showing her own growth. Like the first dance song that we start with, it's from the movie Bajirao Mastani, and she's doing Pinga, where she's celebrating her own culture. And Pinga is very, very focused on Marathi culture and Marathi folklore dancing. And towards the end of the book, we are talking. She's dancing on Bhare Naina, which is entirely her journey. And through that particular dance, she's showing how much she has grown, what her journey as a person has been like. So Gayatri's character itself and her growth itself inspired me to pick those songs which were, you know, connected to what was happening in her life at that point of time in the book. Yes, it was a little difficult, but since I am a music lover myself, the process became easier because I have heard a lot of music and I'm always listening to music whenever you know, I'm doing something or the other. The music is always on in the background. And while writing the story, what motivated me and what helped me write those scenes where the songs were mentioned was that, for instance, when I was writing the scene for Bharinana or when I was writing the scene for Pinga, I kept that particular song on in the background, and you know, I was watching the video alongside watching the dance movements, what the dancers were doing, how their hands were moving, how their expressions were, and that helped me, you know, convert those movements into words. So I was able to describe them better in my scene.
Very good. Okay, but as a reader, I think I kept humming those songs. Though I never remember the words, lyrics of any song. I connect with the song with the music, and my whatever. Whenever I hear, I always look for the instrumental version of every song
Okay.
because I don't put my concentration on the words, but on the music. And when I was reading your book, I mean, even the words coming into my mind as I was going through it for the
So happy
songs.
to hear that. So happy. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the questions that we had for each other. Now comes my favorite part of the session, which is the rapid fire round. Neerja ji, how
Okay.
we'll do it is I will ask one question, then you ask one question. Okay, are you
Okay.
ready?
Yes.
Okay, so my first question to you is a quality or habit you wish to change in yourself and why?
I would like to have a better time management now because, once you come out of the uh, working responsibilities, I mean, when you're a working person, you have a proper schedule because you have to give time to someone else
Yes.
on the job. Once this I have stopped working, I have lots of time and lots of freedom, so my time management has gone worse, which I would like to improve now. This is
Okay.
what one habit that I really want to improve.
Hello.
Okay, so here's my question to you. One Hindi movie dialogue that always stays with you.
जा सिमरन जा जी ले अपनी जिंदगी. That's always going to stay with me. I know it's
Yes,
very
I
filmy,
knew this. I
but
knew this because I have seen it in so many of. I have seen the. I've read the other one also, the love triangle. So I think it was there
yes,
also, and even in many of
yeah,
your.
it was there in that book also. Yes.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
rings so true for
So
somebody who's trying to find their purpose in life, you know, and self discovery. अगर किसी को करनी है तो you are going to say this dialogue only because it fits so well.
yes, yes. True.
Yes. My next question to you is an author or blogger you follow for your daily motivation.
Actually, none. I
Okay.
don't believe in following anyone, frankly speaking. If you read my IG bio also, it says either influence nor being happy to be an influencer. So
That's a
because when
great thought. Yeah.
I go with the flow. I mean, you get up every day with certain thoughts.
Hmm.
सो उसी में जो मुझे सही लगता है तो आई डू राइटिंग इवन इफ जैसे अभी मैंने एक ब्लॉग पोस्ट मेरा है regarding the rovers conversation. I read a news that our Pragyan and Chinese Yulu too is there on the moon. So how will they converse when we are fighting? I mean, we are having not so good relationship here. How these two rovers are talking there about how to have a good,
Yeah.
relationship. So my motivation is different every day.
That's
Okay,
such
so
an
here's
interesting
mine.
topic to talk about. Yes.
Uh, so if you could cast Bollywood actors in the roles of Gayatri and Varun from your book, who would they be?
I have said this before, and a lot of people didn't agree with my choice, but they are always going to be my first choice because firstly because of the height difference between Gayatri and Varun, and because I'm a big fan of the movie Kapoor and Sons. So it's always going to be Siddharth Malhotra and Alia Bhatt for me because that height
Alia,
difference is justified.
what did you say? Alia Bhatt and Siddharth.
Siddharth Malhotra from Kapoor and
Okay, so
Sons.
I would like to have Ranbir Kapoor and Alia for this.
That would also be nice. Yes. Okay, my next question to you is a book that inspired you to write one yourself. You have already answered this, but I'll have to ask again.
Um, Writing, as I told you, that it is the community which helped.
Yeah,
Blog
definitely.
chatter blogging community.
Yes.
And I give whole credit to blog chatter for that because that is the first blogging community which I have joined. And
Okay.
by what chance, I don't know. But yes, now when I have written a book and I am thinking about writing more, I now read a book for the language because I
Okay.
like to, enjoy the language, how what kind of language is being used and things like that. So
Okay.
as such, can't give you a name, but yes.
Yeah, the entire blog chatter community has been
The
so
big in my
influential
journey as
for us.
because you
Yes.
need
Okay.
people to understand what you want to do and how they are doing. You learn a lot when you interact with the people who are onto the same journey.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
like that part of my transition actually. Okay, so here's my third question to you. Your go-to comfort food when you are deep into writing,
And
because
I'm deep
खाने के
into
बगैर नहीं
writing.
हो सकता.
So, yeah, I know a lot of writers say coffee, but I am not addicted to caffeine at all. For me, it is all either hot chocolate or dipped tea, and my favorite flavor is lemon and mint flavor. So those two, either a cup of hot chocolate or dipped tea.
Both give you energy,
Yes. Okay.
refreshing you.
Uh, yes, they do, and instantly, actually. And my next question to you, Neerja ji, now is a piece of advice you would give to yourself from 10 years back.
Uh, Time never comes back. So don't keep anything for कि मैं कल कर लूंगी. Do it right now. And it's for all of you. Do it right now. And I now follow it. Because 10 years ago, if I can say my children were in that stage when they were, into some transition phase, and I kept so many things so that they move ahead first and I will do that later. And I think this should not be done, but when 10 years ago or even 15 years ago, the society didn't have so many support system as we have now for the working woman. So those are the reasons. Not that I crib that. I was happy doing that, but now I have opportunity to do whatever I want to, and I am enjoying that. The moment I live in the moment.
Wonderful advice. Thank you.
Okay, so your book can definitely be, can make a movie can be made on this, if at all. Which actor or director you would love to collaborate?
Because
Do
my
a movie
movie is
on
such
your
a,
book.
yeah, so because my movie has, and I have been told by more than a couple of people who have read the book that my movies give them the dharma production wala feel. So it has to be either dharma or Yash Raj.
Right, right, right. The elaborate sets and all those things, na?
Yes. So either of them. Let's send it out to the universe. Hopefully it will
Yes,
happen.
yeah.
Okay.
And if
My
it
last
happens, you
question.
are going to see, Manali, let us promise it here on the social media that if it is happening, you are going to uh, ask me to write the dialogues. Promise it.
Of course. Yes, promise. Neerja ji, if and whenever this happens, I will give you the dialogues to write.
Okay, done.
Okay. My last question to you, Neerja ji, in the rapid fire round is: given a choice, what would you give up without a second thought?
Given a choice, what would I?
Give up.
Can you repeat? Give
Given a
up.
choice, what would
Oh,
you give up without a second thought? Tricky
second thought. I
question.
am taking so many thoughts. Uh, I think I will stop drinking coffee because I don't like it much.
Ah, okay. Interesting. Okay. Hmm.
Okay,
Okay,
so
your last
if
question.
yeah, what is your favorite classic Bollywood movie?
Favorite classic Bollywood movie? Sholay.
Yeah,
Can we call
everybody likes
DDLJ a
it.
classic
Nobody
here?
can. Yeah,
We
that
can't
was
call DDLJ
one
a
of the.
classic here, can we?
Yeah, but now it has become a classic. It has been so
No,
long.
but
Now it comes.
more than DDLJ, I think it's Sholay for me. Also Agnipath. Both Agnipath and Sholay.
But that is, goosebumps.
Yes. And I have grown up in a family where everyone is an Amitabh Bachchan fan. So these movies were before my time, before I was born, but I grew up listening the dialogues of those movies. So like it was like embedded into my head. It was much later that I actually watched the movies. The dialogues came to me first before I watched the movie. So you can understand how ingrained those movies are in
Right,
my mind.
right, right.
Yeah,
Very
so
interesting, Manali. बहुत ही मजा आ रहा है.
मुझे भी it was so nice talking to you, and I am very glad that we were finally able to do this. There was a long delay. I was traveling, you were not available then, uh, but ho gaya. I'm happy that it happened, and we were able to talk.
Right. Thank you so
A
much.
lot of people are sending us hearts and 100% wala emojis. Thank you so much, everyone, for being so encouraging with our responses, and thank you for joining us. So, Neerja ji, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for being my guest. Any last words from you?
Thank you so much, Manali, for inviting me. I have been watching this your author collaboratives for quite some time now, and they are really going to. I mean, they are really hit actually. I would say, and very interesting conversations. Thank you so much for making me a part of this, and let us hope that we cross paths
Yes,
again in our journey. And all
yes.
the best.
We, I really hope we actually meet in real life also. And I am looking forward to doing this with you again. So keep writing. We'll keep writing more and more books so we can do this more number of times and have more interactions like this.
Sure, sure, sure. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us, and the episode will be available on my Instagram and YouTube channel. Thank you everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye, Neerja ji. Bye, everyone.